Hi guys, so today we are talking about something really, as you can see in the title, we talk about something really important to the reptile hobby, and it's all about enclosure size. And what is the perfect enclosure size? Well, let's see. So, the thing is, the most important part I think in having an enclosure size and finding the best enclosure size is knowing first your snake. And first knowing, is it an arboreal species, semi-arboreal species, terrestrial species, ground-dwelling species, so cave-dwelling species, or what kind of species actually it is. And it is also having the perfect enclosure size is the size where you can fit enrichment, when you can fit exercise, mental exercise, physical exercise for your snake, while being able to for them to feel secure. Okay, so for example, I'll take one out. So I'll take Utahime as an example here. My carpet python. She just shed a couple days ago, so that's why you didn't saw her for the last video, is that for the last times I was filming she wasn't shed, so didn't want to disturb her, but whatever. So thing is, for example, you take a snake like Utahime here, which is a carpet python, so a semi-arboreal snake. What does it mean is that it goes up in the trees, it needs height, a little bit of height, but also it needs a lot of ground space because they will crawl around a lot on the floor of the cage. So the thing is to have the perfect enclosure size. It goes also with the space management you do in your enclosure. So the thing is, you need to understand what's the vision of the snake, what's the umwelt of the snake, as you would hear and there some people talk about. So what is the vision of the snake? How does the snake see its environment, and how does he understand it? Now, we need to understand that part to have also not only the best way of keeping them with parameters or with the enrichment and stuff, and how you need to be able to decorate the cage and stuff, but also with the cage size. I mean, I am not having here giant snakes. I mean, Auda for the moment is still the biggest snake I have, but she will surpass her in a couple weeks, in a couple months. So, she will be the biggest snake I've ever had, and she will be the biggest snake I'll have for a couple of years, I think so, also. And so it needs a big cage, right? So now, thing is, you need to understand the size of the snake. So is it a giant snake? Is it a small snake? Is it, if you have, for example, a reticulated python, these snakes can get giant, okay? So you don't, I mean, if you want to keep them away, you will understand their behavior and their vision of their environment. You'll need a big ass cage, okay? It's normal, I mean, for most people here and there that will listen to it, but some won't agree with that. But in my opinion, a reticulated python can't stay in a 6-foot cage or even an 8-foot cage for a long period of time. Okay, maybe when they're a baby or a year or two old, but for the most part not. For a carpet python, for example, staying 4x2 is maybe at least minimum, but if you want to really have that understanding of your animal, you need a bigger cage. So I'm not saying here they're unreasonable caging. I'm not saying here give a 10 by 10 by 10 to your carpet python, even though they will be very happy with it, but does it stay reasonable for you? It's always about that. So the cage size is really important for first the snake. What does the snake need? Does it need height? Does it need just a thick layer of substrate? Does it need light? Light is more on the decorating side if you want, but does it crawl around a lot? Does it need a lot of space? Does it need not a lot of space? Because depending on the size, of course, they will depend. A carpet python won't need the same space as a corn snake and vice versa, okay? And same goes for ball python, and same goes for a lot of species, okay? Every species has its own cage size needs because of their how they see their environment. Okay, the thing is that when you have understood that part, you've understood the most part of the size cage problem, in that, you know, if you know what your snake needs, and I'll get her out and I'll get her back in her cage, is that when you understand what you will need, and I'll show you maybe it, when you understand how to care for your snake, the size, the vision of the snake, blah, 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 blah. When you understand what your snake needs when it goes to size, you will understand a lot more your snake first. You know, but now let's be here a little bit generic, because not everyone has already the snake and needs the enclosure for the snake. So I mean, for me, the most important part for a snake is that general rule of the height, of the width, length and width, where your snake has to be at least the maximum size of the snake should be the length plus the width of the, you can see the width to the depth of your enclosure. So what do I mean with that is that on a 150 centimeter cage to 50 centimeter cage, the snake in their max topped at 2 meters, for example. Of course, depends also on the girth of the snake and stuff. You know, if you have a 2-meter green tree python, you know, I never understood if there was one, but whatever, you know. So if you're like a 2-meter green tree python, it doesn't need the same thing as a 2-meter ball python, for example. You know, where the 2-meter ball python would need a lot more than just a 150 by 50. But the green tree python, the 2-meter green tree python, maybe it would need like maybe a 90 centimeters, so 3-foot enclosure height, or even high, or even more. You know, where the 150 by 60 by 50 would be great. So it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. Okay, so first thing first, depending on the species, depending if it's active or not, and depends even on the individual, you know. But if you want to go with a general rule, it's understanding, you know, and you're not sure about the minimal size of the enclosure set. For example, I still see some people say that the ball python, a 5-foot ball python, would need only like a 20-gallon enclosure, a 30-gallon enclosure, a 40-gallon enclosure, okay, when actually they need a lot more. And if you don't really know where to go, you know, just understand the wealth of the animal, the vision of the animal, of the environments, how they see their environment, what do they do in the wild and stuff. Okay, if you see it's more a ground dwelling species, they need a little bit less height and maybe more ground space, whereas it is a more semi-arboreal or arboreal species, then maybe a little more height and maybe not as much ground space as a ground dwelling species. Even though, you know, if you see semi-arboreal species, I think in my opinion the semi-arboreal species is a perfect combo of both, because you'll need both ground floor but also height for your snake, because they'll climb a lot and stuff. So to keep it simple, it's pretty much it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I hope don't forget to support USR. Don't forget to jump for inside the pets group. Don't forget to responsible reptile keeping. And I hope to see you on the next one.